What's going on, everybody? Hope we're all doing well wherever we are watching this video from. Today I thought I would give you guys some advice on how to make beats that are kind of placement worthy. Not any kind of beat, not like these full dramatic orchestral type beats or like standalone beats, like strictly placement beats and the beats that like rappers tend to go for. This is way easier than you think it's going to be, and you can actually do this for free. You don't need any fancy plugins, you know, big VSTs, nothing like that, man. So yeah, we're going to dive into it. Before we do a quick plug, well, it's not really a plug because it's free, but I've recently dropped a brand new drum kit called the Saturn Drum Kit. It's completely royalty free to download. I'll put the link in the description for you, first link in the description, so you can jump on that. But yeah, man, let's just get straight into this. Alright, so if you're struggling to make beats that are getting placed, or you're sending out beats and you're not getting any replies, or no one's using your beats, or you know, you're just not really getting that kind of momentum that you wanted to, or that you expected that you was going to get, and you're making beats that are similar to mine, or similar in a sense that you kind of like that realistic kind of sound, especially with the melodies, and then you go in with like some nice trap drums to give it a nice bounce, then this can help you out a whole lot, man. So in order to make those realistic kind of melodies, you do need really good VSTs. And when I say good VSTs, I mean sample-based VSTs like Contact, in which you can get all the cool sample libraries like guitar libraries, good like realistic sounding flutes, good realistic sounding strings, orchestral sounds, pads, you know, just some really nice sounds. You can get some good VSTs like Analog Labs and a couple others, but for me the primary VST that I go to for making realistic loops is Contact, and it just is what it is. It is going to cost a lot of money up front to get the ball rolling and get you some good sounds, which we all don't have the budget for, which I totally get. And on top of that, you need to know how to make like good melodies in the beginning, because it's no use having all these sounds if you can't make a nice catchy loop. So yeah, there's a few variables sat in the way. So if you are struggling to get placements, then I highly recommend, if you don't have any budget and you just really want to get that realistic kind of sound, just use loops. Just use loops, seriously. A lot of these samples are actually played out anyway. Unless you know how to play guitar or you know how to play piano properly, then you know it's going to be hard for you to kind of figure out where the MIDI goes, even if you do have Contact. So yeah, I'm going to stop waffling. Loops is the answer. Loops really do help. You can get royalty free loops, you can go and buy sample packs which are way cheaper than buying Contact libraries. Fair enough, you only get so much use out of each loop, but there's plenty of producers out there that make some insane loops, and you can get some really good free ones. So yeah, I'm going to show you some examples. This is a beat I made the other day. It's called Filtered. Melodic guitar melody, okay? I pulled that from a free loop kit. I think the guy who made the loop kit is called Paul Fix. I think that was the name of it. I just typed in on YouTube free guitar loops. So the loop itself is like a guitar, there's a bit of piano in there and some like kind of spacey pad sounds in the background, and there's a bass line as well in certain parts. But the thing with this loop is like the actual theory behind it isn't that complicated, and the fact that he actually played out the guitar, I think especially guitar is quite hard to get to sound realistic in FL Studio with VSTs. So the fact that he played the guitar live and just recorded that as a live sample makes a whole world of difference, especially if you're a rapper listening to it. You want something that sounds more authentic. So that's just an example. Like, that's just one loop. That's just a quick free loop that I found pulled from YouTube. And the drums are the bit that you put in. The drums are just where you can go crazy with it. Now, if you don't know how to find the actual key of the loop, then you can just come into the loop, right click it, go into the audio editor, click this little flag and click detect pitch regions. Just zoom in at the beginning. If it's a long loop like this, okay, it's in G. Most producers just label the loop itself like G minor, but if you don't have any of that, then you can just go into Edison and do that. So you have the root note. Now you just go in with your own drums, man. So like I'll start off with like the main percussion. So for this beat, I use the clap first. Real simple clap. Literally the hi-hat, so just a two-step. But if you look down at the velocities right here, we switched them up a little bit and just made it have like a kind of vibe, you know. Okay, then I came in with an open hat. Super simple, like it's nothing crazy, just repeated every single bar. And then the next sound, and then after that just some perks, you know, just some like little one shots. I put a snare in as well. And then the last thing was the 808. Okay, I'm kind of breezing through these sounds quite quickly because in terms of the drum like placement, it doesn't really matter. Like it's going to depend on like what style you like to make. But the key thing is, man, is get those realistic loops first off, if that's what you want to go for, and then just come in with some simple drums. Sound selection is key, so get yourself some clean drums. I can't stress to you how easier it makes your life if you have clean drums and a clean loop to begin with. So get you some good drums, you know, get yourself some bouncy 808s in there, you know, for this was the 808 pattern for my beat. You know, I had these little like soft hitting 808s right here. You can't really hear them too much, but there's a nice undertone. And you'll notice these gaps, like there's tons of gaps. I like to leave a good amount of space because that's usually where the artist will fill in the space. You know, that's like a good pocket for them to fill in. But yeah, that's it. Like I didn't go in with any extra VSTs. All I did was get that loop, put it in, make sure I've got all the BPM, the keys all lined up, and then here I actually made this one unique and pitched it up a full octave, and then just turned it way down in the mix just to give it a little bit of variation as the beat progresses. But yeah, it was a fire loop, so I didn't really have to do a whole lot to it, and that's the key thing. Like you don't have to chop up and do crazy things with loops. You can just kind of leave it as it is if it sounds fire. And one thing before I jump into another beat is that rappers don't really care if a sample's been used several times. They've probably not heard the 20 other beats that's been used with that loop, so don't worry about using loops, man. So yeah, that's just one example, man, but I've made like another 2 or 3 beats using loops in the past couple of days. This is an even simpler loop, so I did actually add my own bits to the melody for this, but it was one thing that I added to the melody. That's literally it. So yeah, this is a fire loop. All I did to it was speed it up to 140 BPM, just a solid number, and play with the pitch, and that was all I did to this loop. Like I said, I did add my own piece to it, so I added this vocal chop. You know, really spacey vocal chop. That was from Arcade, that was from the hooked line. As you can see, there's nothing crazy. It repeats after every bar. It's just super spaced out, and it just gives it just a little bit of variation as the beat progresses. But yeah, that was it. So the full beat with everything in sounds like this. Real simple. The thing is as well, like with loops you have no bias as to like what it sounds like. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I'm making loops and I get to the drum part of it, I'm kind of not feeling it as much because I've listened to that loop so many times. If you can get a fresh loop like this, something that you'd have to do a whole lot to in terms of adding effects and processing, then when you get to the drums, like that part's a vibe and it's just really fun, and like you can just make some really cool beats with it. So yeah, again, clean sounds, man. Just got this real basic 808, really short soft 808. One hit for the whole first bar, and then it's busy in the second half. Quite an up-tempo beat, so that's what you want. You don't want to have like crazy amounts going on. Simple rim shot. Hi-hats. Yeah, just really, really repetitive. And like you've got to think about it as well. What I've started to do when I'm making beats, especially when I'm working with loops, I'll put the drums on it, and as I'm adding the drums, I'll start like humming some kind of rap to it. I'll just think of some lyrics that sound similar to the beat I'm making, and just rap along to it, man. Seriously, if you start rapping along to your own beats, especially whilst you're making them, then that kind of gives you a good pointer as to like when you need to stop. Because like I know how easy it can be to overdo it, and then by the time you finished it, like you try to rap over it, and like there's no space left. So yeah, hi-hat, and then we just came in with these perks. I'll play all these drums together and bring them in slowly. Little rim shots, little perks right there, little perk right there. One shot right there, like a little shaker, and that's it. And then when you bring the loop back in and everything else, man, it's just a vibe. Yeah, it's a vibe, man. And one thing actually that I will give you guys as advice, especially if you're going to layer up that loop and like drop it down by an octave, like there's a lot of low end, so what you do want to do, you'll notice this like parametric EQ automation I've put in right here. Okay, so what you want to do is make sure that that's ducking out of the way, especially the low end, that's ducking out of the way when the 808's playing, that's key. So I've got the loop right here, I've just added this low cut right here, and then I've just automated the mix knob which is right here, so that it comes on fully when the 808's hitting. So that just basically cleans up the low end and it just makes the 808 slap even harder. But in terms of the effects that I added to it, basically nothing. I think I added a little bit of chorus in this and just brought that in and out, but normally just nothing, just EQ, just to make sure that we've got no low ends coming through. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there. I wanted to make this like super quick and just give you guys some quick inspiration, because I know how it is when you get like pretty harsh beat blocking, like you just can't make anything that sounds good or anything that you are happy with, because sometimes it can sound fire but you can still not be happy with it. So yeah, just use loops, man. I'm not promoting any products here. Just literally go onto YouTube or Reddit and find some, you know, decent loop kits. Some of them are paid, but you know, they're still way more affordable than buying, you know, an expensive VST. Just before we end though, make sure that you read the legal information for the loop kits that you're using. You know, a lot of producers will want 50-50 splits, especially on a free kit, so make sure that you are giving credit where credit is due, because these producers deserve it just like we all do. But other than that, man, just go crazy with loops, especially if you want realistic sounding loops, particularly with guitars. I think that's probably one of the hardest instruments to get sounding realistic. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. But again, if you enjoyed, make sure you like, subscribe, leave me a lovely comment, and yeah, man, I'll see you guys in the next one.